the air.
When it comes to arcade racing games, there are many noteworthy series. For kart racers, you have your Mario Karts. For more real-world car people, you have Need for Speed. For simple types, Sega Rally, Outrun, Daytona USA, and way too many more to list. While I like all those games fine enough, for me, there is one true arcade racing game that reigns above all of those. Burnout. This is a series of games that take what other arcade racing games do well and elevates it with a sense of speed and danger like no other. Some of these games are, to me, not just the best racing games of all time, but some of my all-time favorite games. But things didn't always start off smoothly, so why don't we see how the series evolved over the years in what feels like such a short span of time. At the time, 3D games were about to be on the rise, and the foundations of what would become one of the most versatile game engines in renderware was released in 1993. But none of the 5th gen consoles were out then. What's up with that? See, renderware originally started as a software library for the C programming language. When Criterion was first founded, they made renderware as a multimedia tool for development business, as this is what Canon, who owned Criterion until EA bought them out, was looking for at the time. And renderware was perfect for making mock-ups of buildings and things like that. While there was a demo game in Cyber Street, it wasn't until they saw what other companies in the UK like Argonaut Software were doing that they decided to get into development games. Thus, in 1995, Criterion formed a dedicated game development division and moved their headquarters to Guildford, and officially formed Criterion Games as we know it in early 1996. Eventually, renderware was retooled for game development, with the 3rd iteration released in 2000, providing full gaming capabilities. 1 and 3 3/4 of a year later, Burnout makes its debut with this version of renderware. The game was in development for almost 2 years prior to its release. Burnout was released on the PS2 on November 1st, 2001 for North America, and 15 days later for Europe. GameCube and Xbox versions followed on April 30th, 2002 for North America, and 3 days later for Europe. Burnout has several different modes of play. Single race lets you take any unlocked car and have a normal race on any unlocked track. Head-to-head lets you race against a friend. Time attack lets you go for the best time on any unlocked track. And there are a couple special modes in the special section. Survival, where you must keep going until you wreck your car for good, free run just to roam around the courses, and face off to unlock special cars. More on that later on. The main mode of play is Championship mode. There are 6 cups total, 4 Grand Prix events with 3 races each, and 2 marathon tracks around Europe and the USA. This is how you'll unlock the tracks, survival, and free run, and the face-off events. Let's talk about the actual racing now. It's rather simple. You'll simply mash the accelerator and keep it pressed, only letting up when needing to drift around corners for boost. This isn't the only way you can earn boost. You'll also earn it by driving on the wrong side of the road, avoiding traffic, completing a lap without crashing, and swerving to avoid AI crashing and other collisions. Use the boost to produce a burnout by boosting until the meter completely runs out, but still continuing doing moves that will, well, fill your boost meter. And basically you continue driving dangerously to keep the meter full. You can only activate it though once it's full. You want the ones that involve not crashing, not just for more boosts, but you'll also want it to keep performing well, because if you crash, then you're set back and you lose some boosts. This is easier said than done because there is a lot of traffic on the road. And that's on top of the scenery pieces that screw you over if you're not careful. While the crashes do look nice, they end up slowing you down as you expect. You can crash a handful of times and be fine, but crash too many times, especially on the final lap of a race, and you may as well restart the race. But don't go restarting too much in championship mode because... oh no! Not that! Yes, because someone on the team still had that mindset of those Sega arcade racing games I mentioned at the start of this video. Not only are there time limits in the races period, but the championship mode has a limited amount of continues. It's 3 for every Grand Prix, with the exception of the marathon races, since those are the only races in those cups. But the others, you better be careful and fast. Run out of time? and you lose a credit. Crash enough and have to restart, you lose a credit. Don't place in the minimum spot you need to place in to advance, you lose a credit. Run out of credits and you have to start the Grand Prix all over again. It's frustrating as hell because some of these courses can go on for 5 minutes for one lap, and if you screw up, especially at the last lap, it can feel so defeating. Combine that with the limited continues crap and you'll be thankful for the person who invented save states. It doesn't help that rubber band AI is very apparent here, and even with boosts, they'll still be on your ass unless they crash badly. Despite frustrating gameplay, the controls do work well. There are 2 control schemes, at least on the GameCube and PS2. The only difference between the schemes is that the boost and horn are on the trigger buttons and accelerate and boost are on the face buttons. Vice versa on Type B. Everything else is the same between both setups. Both control schemes work fine enough, they're responsive as hell, they're easy to pick up on, and having 2 different options is a plus for those with specific preferences when it comes to racing games. Though I do feel like drifting while boosting can be a mixed bag, since you can do a 180 when you don't intend to, and you really don't want that. The graphics are also fine. Although suppressed by the later games, what's here is pretty damn good for the time. Car models are on point, and some are modeled after real cars even though they don't use the branding due to, well, the crashes. The sports coupe resembles a Toyota X Supra, for example. Some of the traffic cars don't look as good as the drivable cars though. Environments also look fine, at least from afar. Buildings are nicely designed, but the quality isn't the best up close, but that's more excusable. There is still a nice variety from highways, downtown areas, coastal areas, etc. The real show of the graphics are the car crashes. The sliding car animations, busted windows, smoke coming out of the engine, tire skidding, all nice attention to details. And the more that crash, the more insane things get. So much so that a whole mode was dedicated to crashing in the sequel. We'll cross that bridge soon enough. Otherwise the graphics are good, but not great. Sound is also on point. With the addition of Dolby Surround, you really feel in the action. Near misses sound close as hell. Car crashes sound impactful. Drifting sounds risky. The boost sounds really make you feel like you're going faster, even though it really only does so much. And in general, the sound design really enhances the game. The menu sound effects also have a futuristic thing going on for them, which is always nice to remind you of the turn of the millennium feeling. The music also reflects this with a mix of techno and electric guitar in some places. It really heightens the mood and makes the races feel more dangerous. You'll get quite a few of them stuck in your head. Replayability really isn't there. Once you beat the 3 main cups, and by association the face-off races in which you face off with a very specific car in one 3-lap race or so, beat that car and you'll unlock it forever. And you will need the better cars for the difficult cups. There's really not much else to the game aside from the bonus modes for score attack, but that's really it. And assuming you make little to no mistakes or just use save states, you can finish it in under 4 hours or less. Burnout is a decent racing game that can be fun in parts. It looks good, sounds good, and plays well. However, it is too difficult for its own good thanks to rubber banding AI and limited continues, and the game can be a bit short if you know what you're doing, and not being able to change the Xbox control scheme sucks. Yeah, I know I sound like I beat upon it a bit much, but don't get me wrong, I do have some nostalgia for this game, as this was one me and my cousins had on the original Xbox, and we did play it quite a bit. So, if you wanted to start here and, say, work your way through up to the peak of the series, I wouldn't talk you out of it. Everything comes from humble beginnings, and this is no exception. The game goes for about $10 regardless of the version you get as of writing this. So, if you struggle, play it in an emulator with save states. Seriously, I'm grateful for the person who invented those. I give Burnout a 3 out of 5. Don't worry, it's all uphill from here. Thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, click the big red button below to subscribe. Check out the other links in the description for more cool stuff, and check out the playlist on screen for more content. See you in the next video.